Hey, this is Nick Williams, and this is part 4 of the in-house presentation that I conduct, and the training for the in-house presentation that I conduct. This is the 40 questions, but there's no way I'll get to 40. So, as a matter of fact, I've already tried to do this video. It just goes on and on and on. It's way, way too long. So I'm just shortening it up here. And okay, let me say this. There's a cost to this training series of videos, and that cost is that you like our videos and that you subscribe. It helps us. It enables us to reach out further. YouTube likes when we're liked, and they like when we get subscribers. They allow our tentacles to go a little further out into the World Wide Web, and we can reach more people and help more people. So I would appreciate it. It would help me. It would help us. And again, like our videos and subscribe. Having said that, what I use is question sequences. And I have a whole bunch of them. Some of them I use every single interview that I do or every single presentation. My presentation is never a glossy. That's tired old stuff. They don't want to see that. I don't want to get into a standard presentation. I definitely don't want to use a flip chart unless it's a compliant Medicare Advantage thing where you just got to disclose the facts according to CMS. Having said that, these sequences are designed to get information, and they will give you everything you need to close the deal. So let's go to the first one. I always use this. Now remember, I'm in the house. We discussed their health. We'll get into medications at this point. And even if they say they're healthy, I'll say, well, do you take any medications for that? But let me give you the 4 questions that, it's actually 3 questions, and then I go to Medicare and You, the Medicare and You book. Do you take medication for that? Again, we've talked about their health. Do you take any medication for that if they have a problem? Then, or do you take any medications if they say they have no problems? Is your medication expensive? Do you get extra help? Then I go to the page 83 of Medicare and You. Let me tell you how I walk through this. So they tell me that they have, say, maybe high blood pressure or cholesterol. I'll bring up the medications. I'll talk about metoprolol, lisinopril, HCTZ, or hydrochlorothiazide. I will talk about, that would be for high blood pressure. For cholesterol, I'll talk about the statin drugs. I'll talk about simvastatin. I'll talk about atorvastatin. I'll just bring them up. If they say they have diabetes, I'll find out if they're type 2, if they're on the pill, whether it's metformin, Januvia, or whatever it may be. They have a new needle that they give people for type 2. Actually, my father took it. It's a needle. It's an injection like once a week, and I can't remember the name of it. But just to get versed on these things and have them at the tip of your tongue, it elevates you a little bit. So when they start talking about their health conditions, you start talking about the medications. But then you go into, do you take any other medications, or do you take medication for that? Or do you take any medications? So that's the first question. The second question is your medication expensive? Which is a no-brainer. And the third question is, do you get extra help? At that point, I go to the Medicare and You book, and all the seniors get the Medicare and You book. Ooh, I just hit a button there I didn't want to hit. All the seniors get the Medicare and You book. It's the only prop I use. I use no glossies. No glossies at all, unless it's to maintain compliance. But I use no glossies. I use the yellow pad, and I use a pen. That's it. And I have these series of questions again. So I'll go to page 83, and you can see on page 83 there's a chart. And on that chart, it has the qualifications for extra help. The qualifications are that they have asset and income guidelines that you cannot exceed. And the asset guideline, I'll go to the $28,000 for the married couple, and I'll say, do you have in excess of $28,150? If so, you won't qualify. And what's that going to do for me? Well, of course, I'm now opening up the possibility to obtain an annuity lead, plant the seed for a future annuity. If they say, well, yes, I do have more than that, and they may tell me it's a 401k or an IRA they have, or maybe down at the bank, I may get into a little brief conversation where I kind of make a comment about the bank, or if they're with a broker about the stock market, because they're not getting any return, and then they have the volatility. So the banks, no return, stock market, volatility. In the middle lies this little thing, and I guess we're in the middle. It's somewhere in the middle, but lies this indexed annuity. I won't talk about indexed annuities, but I've planted the seed that we need to address this because they're concerned. But I always qualify that by saying, but let's stick to the Medicare for now. We'll address that in another time. The next sequence I have is, who is your doctor? Do you like him or her? How often do you see him or her? How much does it cost per visit? And how much do you pay your specialist? Him or her, him or her. You got to say him or her now. You can't just say, how much do you like him, or how often do you see him? It's not politically correct. Man, things used to be so much easier. All right. So this is very important. Okay, we went through the question. We've already discovered, that perhaps how much assets they have. We know their income because we've discussed it. And I will also drill down on that Medicare and You book, how I use it in one of the training videos for this, my in-house presentation. So you see exactly what I do and what I say with the book. But for now, let's keep moving. Again, who's your doctor? When you're working in home, you'll get to know these doctors. In this one town that I go to often, there's a husband-wife doctor team, and everybody in town, small town, everybody knew they were both having affairs. And then they had a nasty divorce, and now there's two separate doctor's offices with each one of them individually having their own office. And it's just a good conversation piece. So you can by asking these questions, you're not going to fly through. It's going to take you forever to get through these questions. But you're building rapport without going into a presentation, and you're establishing that you're not there or in the home to just pitch them on a product. I'm not talking about any insurance products. Okay, who's your doctor? Do you like him? How often do you see him? Okay, if they like him, that tells you a lot. It tells you that you better be worried about networks. If they say, I can't stand that SOB and I want to get away from them, well, that's useful information. How often do you see them? If they say they're in good health, but they go to the doctor every month, well, we've got a problem. How much does it cost per visit? This is critical. So again, I don't want to ask them questions about their insurance. I don't want to bring up the insurance I sell. So I ask them, how much does it cost per visit? And they tell me, let's say they say zero. And I go to my next question, how much do you pay your specialist for a visit? So you don't pay your doctor, your primary care physician anything. How much do you pay your specialist? And they say, if they said $25 in the upstate of South Carolina, where I work, that would tell me exactly which plan they have. They have the Aetna Premier PPO, 0 for the primary, 25 for the specialist. That's the only plan in the upstate that has those numbers. So I've never discussed their insurance at all, but I know exactly what they have now. If they pay 0 for the doctor and for their specialist, and their income and assets were high, well, now what do they have? The next question will nail that down, but in all likelihood, they have a plan F. If they're not paying anything for their doctor, they're not paying anything for their specialist, and they have plenty of assets, they probably have a plan F. We haven't discussed insurance yet, but I know what they have. The next question is, has your condition ever required hospitalization? If they have no condition, then it's a simple question of, have you been to the hospital in the past several years? The follow-up question to that is, did you get a bill as a result of that? Usually that'll come in your mailbox a couple weeks later. If they got no bill, they paid nothing for the doctor, they paid nothing for the specialist, or nothing for the primary, nothing for the specialist, and they went to the hospital and walked out with no bill. Well, they got Medicaid and a SNP, D-SNP, or they've got a Plan F. And we know, because we know their assets. We know exactly what they have. And then I'll talk to them. I'll say, I may ask them at this point, are you aware of the changes in Medicare? If they have led me to believe they have a Plan F, I have the Medicare and You book out. We've already gotten into the Medicare and You book, but I want to go back to it at this point, and I want to go back to page 69, and I want to show them the chart. Actually, the next page, 69, is the first page of the Medicare supplement chapter in the Medicare and You. But the chart, which is on page 70, is going to be a tool that I'm going to use to extract more information about their Medicare supplement, and also plant the seed for a sale later in this presentation. I want everything to be done. I want a one-call close. I don't want to go back. That's all there is to it. I want to go back when I deliver the policy. I want to go back when I sell another product. I want to go back to say, hi, how are you doing? But I want a client today. So I'll go down this chart and I'll show them where Plan F covers everything. But there's a problem with Plan F, and that the Plan F is going away. And that could be cause for concern. And that's a realistic concern. And that's something that clients need to know about. And I'll tell them, like here in the upstate, probably the best plan to go to is a G. And that's the case in many states. Not every state, but in many states, a Plan G is your next best option. So I'll have that conversation. They may tell me right then what I need to know to sell them. Well, I've got that Plan F. I got it with Mutual of Omaha, and the rates went up through the roof. And, I kind of sort of want to do something about that. I'll let them tell me. So we know what their health is, and then we know they have a Plan F, or maybe if they have a Plan G, or whatever it is, because they'll probably tell me by now. So if they're healthy and they have a Plan F, I got green light. I know what to do. Again, we have not done a fact finder. We have not drilled. I got my clipboard that I showed them at the front door, and I'm making notes. That doesn't seem to ever bother anybody that I'm jotting little notes down. And that's all I need. But I never got into some presentation at this point. It's like, oh, you got a Plan F? Well, we can get you a lower price. It's like, it just doesn't. They tighten up on you, and you don't want that to happen. All right. I want to go to another sequence of questions here. And there's really 3 questions in this sequence. The first one is, do you have an agent? It's actually 4 questions. Do you like your agent? When was the last time you met face-to-face with your agent? And the last one is, if they don't have an agent, well, when was the last time you had your coverage reviewed? That's how I ask it. If they have no agent. But so, let's go into this. Do you have an agent? Well, that's important, isn't it? Do you like your agent? If they don't like their agent, well, now that's telling you that you are, they're basically, if they tell you they don't like their agent, because they will hide that from you often, because they don't want you to think you can sell them now. But if they tell you that, that's a really good thing. When was the last time you met face-to-face with your agent? If they tell you, I love my agent, I meet with them every year. As a matter of fact, my sister comes over, and we all have a little group meeting. We have coffee and donuts. And that agent was my mother's agent. God bless her soul. Well, you know what you don't want to do. You do not want to sell Medicare in that house. I say always leave the incumbent agent alone unless they've made an error. Now, I see when they make an error, and sometimes you can get the sale because you can tell the people. It's like, I hate that you have to change from that agent. I know they're a nice guy, but you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your health, and you have to take care of your wallet. And they'll agree often. But I also know that even then, sometimes it won't work because they like that agent. They're scared to offend the agent. If they have really screwed things up, you can move in, and generally you can make the sale at that point. If they do not have an agent, again, so the question is, well, who reviews your coverage, and when was the last time it was done? And that's, again, your opportunity to, and I'll tell them, if I have control, and by now we've been talking, I've gone through this relatively quickly with you, but I've got control. If we've gone this far, and here's what I'll do. I'll tell them, listen, I'm going to be your agent from now on. I'm going to help you. And I will. Even if I can't sell them, if I tell them that, I'm going to help them. If they get a plan F, there's not much help that I have to do until there's a problem. I generally, I make that decision that they get a refrigerator magnet or not at that point. Whether if I make a sale, I give them a refrigerator magnet. If I like them and feel that we're going to have a relationship, I give them a refrigerator magnet. All right. If they don't have an agent, they haven't been reviewed. So my next question is, do you even know how your plan works? And I'll go into little things. Like I know what they don't know. And I'll ask questions about what they don't know, and they won't be able to answer the question. I'll say, what is your daily room cost? They'll be like, I'm not sure what that is. And then I'll say, well, let me ask you, on your dental plan, what dentist can you use? Or something like that. And I'm just pulling those ones out of the sky right now. They don't know. And I'll say to them, you don't know how your plan works, do you? Go get your book. Let me show you a few things. And they'll get up and they'll go get their book. I don't know how many minutes this is with you guys on this video, but this is probably half hour, 45 minutes with the client. I've gone through all this information. I know exactly what they have. I've uncovered the possibility of other sales with hospital indemnity. I maybe an annuity. I planted the seed for that. But let's say that we're at this stage of the game, and I realize that I don't really have a sale because I know exactly what they have. Correct? So, and I know whether I can sell them or not. If I can sell them, well, I damn well better make the sale. So I don't try to sell everybody in every house. And on my numbers that I use, I say, okay, I don't consider anything up to this a presentation. But now I'm in a presentation if I can sell them. So on my daily worksheet, if I feel that I can make a sale, now is when I say, yes, I did a presentation in that home. From this point forward, I'm going into a presentation. Otherwise, I was just meeting somebody. And I don't care if I got nothing and I walk out the door or if I get that sale. If I don't have anything, of course, I want to transition. I want to go to final expense. That's the next product that I want to sell. I don't want to go to the annuity now. I want to check out the final expense. I can always come back to the annuity. It's hard. You're not going to sell the annuity on the one call in most cases. It's very improbable. I've done it before, but usually that's not going to happen. And if you push it, they'll tighten up on that, and you won't get it at all. So in my next video, I'm going to tell you a foolproof transition to the final expense sale. I've done it over and over. I've trained agents how to do it over and over, and that will be training video number 5. And then after that, maybe I'll go through the book and I'll show you exactly what pages I use in and I say the book, The Medicare and You. But anyhow, the next training is in fact the transitions, and we'll see you tomorrow.